Hello, and welcome to RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged, and today I will be rejudging All Stars 2 in a generally fairer way, so let's get into it. First up, we have the Episode 1 variety show. I decided to keep Roxy and Tatiana as the top two based off their performances, but contrary to the original judging, I decided to put Alyssa Edwards as high over Alaska and Ginger. For the bottom three, I decided to save Adore from the bottom because, in terms of talent, she was easily the strongest. It's just that her look was pretty weak. That leaves Coco Montrese and Jeremy in the bottom. Roxy and Tatiana lip sync to shake it off. Roxy wins and sends home Coco. Next up, we have episode 2, which is the Snatch game. Adore quits before the challenge due to her mental health, leaving us with a top 8. I decided to keep Alaska and Katya as the winners based off runways and overall performance, with Jeremy as a close third. As for the bottom, I think Detox, Roxy, and Tatiana were all pretty bad. While Tatiana had the strongest snatch game, she had the weakest runway, and Detox had the best runway possibly of the season, which saves her from the bottom. Alaska and Katya lip sync to Le Freak. Alaska wins and sends home Tatiana. Next up, we have episode 3, which is the rusical. I decided to keep Alyssa and Detox as the top 2 for this episode. Jeremy is high here based off her runway and performance, although Roxy also easily could have been high here. While Detox does get one of the top 2 slots here, I do want to note that she was given an incredibly favorable part in the rusical compared to a lot of her competitors. I really don't see how she could have lost with this role, and I think it was really tailored to her strengths, whether that is good or bad. For the bottom, I kept Ginger and Katya there, but I bumped Alaska from safe to low because her lip sync was kind of off in the rusical, as was her padding. Alyssa and Detox lip sync to Tell It to My Heart. Alyssa wins and sends home Ginger based off her track record. This decision, while seeming relatively inconsequential, pretty much changes the landscape of All Stars for years, as this was the first time a queen took track record into account. That said, episode 4, which is the acting challenge. I decided to keep Alaska and Jeremy as the top 2 here. I think Detox easily could have been up there too. But as much as a lot of people dislike Alaska's runway here, I honestly really enjoyed it. For reference, this was the episode she revealed into Little Pound Cake. The bottom, I decided to save Katya from the bottom because her runway was pretty solid and she was fine in the challenge. I genuinely don't know why production put her in the bottom 3 here. She was miles ahead of Alyssa and Roxy this week. Alaska and Jeremy lip sync to Got to Be Real, and in this timeline, Jeremy wins. This unfortunately means we do not get the iconic scene of Jeremy revealing her reasons for picking Alyssa, with Alyssa right behind the mirror. That said, I think Jeremy steamrolled that lip sync, and this still sets up the plotline for the next episode very well. Next up, we have the Returning Queens Episode 5 Comedy Smackdown. As was the case in the regular season, the team of Katya and Ginger is safe, while the teams of Alaska and Alyssa and Detox and Tatiana make up the top 4 of the week. Jeremy and Roxy place in the bottom, Roxy being alone and Jeremy still being paired with Coco. Alyssa and Tatiana lip sync for the right to return to the competition to Shut Up and Drive. Both queens choose to send home Jeremy. While they both legitimately picked her, it is my personal belief that Roxy's lipstick was pretty much glued down this episode. Production buried Jeremy in the edit in this episode and the episode prior, and I really don't think they would have let anyone choose Roxy's lipstick this week. That cannot be said for episode 6, which is the advertising commercial challenge. As was the case in the original season, Alaska and Katya completely steamroll and are the top two. However, I decided to put Detox and Roxy in the bottom for their performance, lifting Tatiana from being in the bottom to safe, and Alyssa from being high to safe. Alaska and Katya lip sync to Cherry Bomb, where Katya wins as she should have. I think in this timeline, based off both performance in the episode and season, both queens choose Roxy to go home. Next up, we have episode 7, which is the Makeover. I decided to keep Detox and Katya as the top two for this week. However, if I was judging this episode individually with Roxy here instead of Tatiana, I probably would have given the top two slots to Katya and Roxy. That said, Roxy is not here, leaving Alaska, Alyssa, and Tatiana in the bottom. While Tatiana did really well in her Season 2 makeover, I don't think she could outdo Detox or Katya at this point. Regardless of how Tatiana does, Detox wins the lip sync against Katya to step it up and sends home Tatiana. This means we get Alyssa Edwards in the finale instead of Roxy Andrews. In terms of the fan vote, I'm not really sure how Alyssa would do. I did not follow the show at the time of All Stars 2 airing, so I don't know how fiery her fan base was. But I can say with almost 100% certainty that Katya would steamroll the fan vote as she did in reality. In terms of track record, Alaska is in first place with 4 wins and 1 bottom. Detox is in second place with 3 wins and 1 bottom. Katya is in third place with 3 wins and 1 bottom. And Alyssa Edwards is in fourth place with 2 wins, 1 bottom, and 1 elimination. I don't fully know how Read You Wrote You would have played out in this timeline. That said, I don't think Alyssa would have created a verse as iconic as Roxy's. But regardless, based off her track record and verse, she would very likely be cut in fourth here, leaving a top 3 of Alaska, Detox, and Katya. That said, we are in the finale. Alaska wins with Detox and Katya as runners-up. For the longest time, I was on the train of Katya having been robbed on this season, but when you really look at it, Alaska and Katya were both equally deserving winners of the season, as was Detox. Overall, All Stars 2 was a really fun season to cover. It is my personal favorite All Star season and overall season. By the time you are hearing this, I have probably already published my ranking of every single All-Star season, so if you haven't watched that, check it out. But on that note, hey, it's redacted. Do you want non-Emmy nominated gay shit? Well then subscribe to Drag Race Rejudged, and next week I will be rejudging All Stars 3.